So today marks newly appointed Chief Justice Raymond Zondo's first day in office on a permanent basis. President Cyril Ramaphosa last month appointed him to that role despite the Judicial Service Commission recommending Judge Mandisa Maya for the post. For more on what we can expect during Zondo's tenure, we're joined now by Research and Advocacy Officer at Judges Matter, Zikhona Ndlebe. Zikhona, it's great to speak to you this morning. Incredibly important story, isn't it? He's been acting in the position for some time. Today, the job begins in earnest, shall we say?
Yes, it does. Good morning. So Justice Raymond Zondo has been acting since the retirement of Justice Mogoeng last year, August, and today he is now officially the Chief Justice of South Africa. So he has a lot to do. As you've said already, he will be chairing the interviews today, but that is not all. Next week, he is faced with an important task, which is to chair the JSC interviews that will be taking place.
In terms of the administrative functions of heading up the country's apex court, Zikhona, just outline to us how much of that aspect of his job will take up his time.
That aspect is very important because as the head of the Constitutional Court, he has to ensure the proper running and efficient running of the Constitutional Court. And as we heard during the JSC interviews in February, when the interviews for the Chief Justice were taking place, there have been a lot of concerns. Even since last year, we know this. There have been a lot of concerns about the efficiency of the Constitutional Court, the delays in the handing down of judgments, that has also been a concern. And the Chief Justice, newly appointed Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, is going to have to ensure that the Constitutional Court is efficient in its running, and that's a very important task because it is the apex court at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. But if we think about the big job that he has at hand in terms of heading up the apex court, we can also cast our minds back to the big job that he had in terms of chairing the state capture inquiry. I'm just looking at some of the numbers there. It was more than 400 days of hearings, more than 300 witnesses, according to the Commission. Almost 1,500 people and entities were implicated by evidence before the Commission. So, I mean, that was a massive job, which I suppose those in his corner will say he did with aplomb.
It was an absolutely massive job for the Chief Justice to handle, but as we've seen, he has been able to issue the state capture reports, although not on time, with the necessary extensions being granted to him by the President. And that chairing of the State Capture Commission demonstrated his leadership skills and capacities. So I'm sure it will count in his favor because he is used to handling so much work, and handling the work of the Constitutional Court should not be very difficult for him. Obviously, he's going to first have to conclude the State Capture Commission, ensure that all the reports have been made available by him, and then he will have to ensure that the Constitutional Court is headed accordingly.
We're talking about, what in his past has equipped him for doing this job now as Chief Justice. As we've said, he's been acting in the position for some months now. Today is his first official day as Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court in a permanent capacity. Where do some of the holes lie, Zikhona?
Well, the real issue that we've had as Judges Matter is the fact that Justice Raymond Zondo has all the necessary experience. He's been at the Labour Court since 1997. He has been a Deputy Chief Justice since 2017. He's been at the Constitutional Court since 2012. But recently, obviously, he has not been present at the Constitutional Court, although he said last week in his media briefing that the former Chief Justice Mogoeng ensured that he was kept abreast as to the functionings of the Constitutional Court, and he was made known about everything that has been happening at the Con Court. But because of the fact that he has been chairing the State Capture Commission, it can be expected that he is a little bit behind with the work of the Constitutional Court, with the work that has been taking place at the Con Court, although he says that he's been kept abreast. So that means that he's going to have to play a little bit of catch-up at the Con Court, and will have to ensure that he is able to handle the work of the Chief Justice, not only at the Con Court as the head of the Con Court, but also as the head of the JSC, because he is the chair of the JSC as well.
Yeah, certainly. Are there any big cases? I suppose this is a conversation we always have when it comes to people like Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, but are there any cases that he presided over that come to your mind and that really stand out for you?
Well, the one case that does come to my mind that he has presided over in the past years is the 2018 case of the Minister of Justice versus Prince, where he allowed the use of cannabis. So we know that there was a groundbreaking judgment that he handed down, and that is just one of the cases that do come to mind. So he has written extensively. As I've said, he's been a judge since 1997. He's headed the Labour Court. He has been at the Concord since 2012. That's a lot of experience that he has.
Yeah.
And over the years, he has written a lot of judgments, and he has presided over a lot of cases as well.
Yeah, certainly. And just looking at some of the analysis around the first day on the job for the Chief Justice, a number of other cases springing to mind for many other people as well. Zikhona Ndlebe, let me thank you for your time this morning. She's a research and advocacy officer at Judges Matter, and that's as we mark the first day in office for our new Chief Justice Raymond Zondo.